Welcome back to Dynamics. Okay, one more video today and then I'll be done. Technically another movie review, but kind of not. What I did was they re-released all three of the Lord of the Rings movies, extended cuts, and put them all in the theater, and 3 days in a row, so it wasn't like you were going to sit there and watch them for the whole day. But yeah, I watched the three movies 3 days in a row, and it was a lot of fun. And so I do want to kind of do a review, kind of more just talking about the experience, but let's do my typical little review here. For those who don't know, Lord of the Rings came out the first one came out in 2001. So I was out of high school. I was a couple years out of high school, but a pretty young guy. They were coming out kind of at the same time at first as the Harry Potter movies, although I think they did a better job with the Lord of the Rings because they filmed them all at the same time. So it was legitimately, 1 year you got to see the first one, next year the second one, third year the third one. There was no gaps. There was no trying to turn the third movie into two movies. It was just three movies, 3 years in a row. And all the same actors, because there was no issues with any of the actors passing away because they had breaks in between movies. It was all shot at the same time. Main actor is, it's an ensemble, but arguably the main actor is Elijah Wood, who plays Frodo. Ian McKellen plays Gandalf. Orlando Bloom plays Legolas. Sean Bean plays Boromir. Sean Astin plays Sam. Billy Boyd plays Pippin. Andy Serkis is Gollum. We'll come back to him. Viggo Mortensen plays Aragorn. We're missing our dwarf friend. Let's go to the full cast. Where did he go? Why is he so far down the list? Dominic Monaghan played Merry. And there we go. John Rhys Davies played Gimli. All right. So there's a lot of other main actors. I think because I'm looking at I'm looking at the Fellowship of the Ring, and he doesn't come into the movie until later, and I guess he's considered a smaller role than like Orlando Bloom, but really they kind of like are in the same amount. Anyways, it's a classic. It's legitimately some of the best movies ever made. Some of my favorite movies ever made. I had a blast watching them in theaters. I know I've seen different versions of the extended cuts, but there were definitely scenes that I'd never seen before, or had only seen once, so I didn't quite remember. But there's definitely some surprises for me too. Watching it, it was a blast to be able to kind of like go back. What are we looking at here now? 23 years ago, and to relive that experience. I went with my brother to the second one and the third one. He was out of town on the first one, so I just saw that one by myself. But I got to see the second one and the third one with my brother. That was a lot of fun. Popcorn, soda, the whole experience, right? And I enjoyed it a lot. I've seen a couple of movies, like older movies like that, like Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, I think. Third Kind? Close Encounters of the Third Kind? I think. That classic UFO movie. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I'm talking about. If you don't, look it up. It's a great movie. Classic. I've seen The Dark Crystal, which I would definitely do again, but Brandy hates that movie. She's not going to see that one with me. She's not a big fan of the Lord of the Rings movies either. That's part of why she didn't go with me. And then I'm looking forward, I think in like a couple of weeks, they're going to do Neverending Story, which is one of my favorites. I think I've seen like maybe another. In addition to the re-releases, I used to go to this old movie theater that they're trying to refurbish in downtown Fresno. and you know, you would see classic movies like The Exorcist and things like that. And then I remember during COVID, like you could go to the local drive-in and see old classic movies, like classic horror movies. That was a lot of fun too. I like seeing classic movies in the theater. I'm, you know, a little bit of an older guy, so it's kind of a thing. But I really enjoyed this. Who else is in the movie? For those who don't know, this is someone you may not know. So the voice of the Ring is Alan Howard, because the Ring kind of like does this whisper thing throughout, you know, the movies. Alan Howard does that. The actor who plays Sauron and a Goblin and Uruk-hai is Salah Baker. Let's see, who else? As you guys know, Andy Serkis is Gollum, but he's a motion capture. I always thought it was funny that he's the manager from 13 going on 30. So that's like him, you know. But usually we see him as like motion capture, like in the Planet of the Apes movies. Martin Sokus is Celeborn, which is a small role in the movies, but he's kind of a bigger name. Let's see. Kate Blanchett, of course, is Galadriel. Big reason why the Lord of the Rings Shamalama Ding Dong Power Ranger movie, the TV series that's on Amazon, that no one really likes, is, you know, you can't compare the portrayal of Galadriel between the series and the movies because Kate Blanchett is just amazing. Gil-galad is played by Mark Ferguson. Bilbo is played by Ian Holm. Saruman is played by Christopher Lee. Fun facts about Christopher Lee, if you don't know. Most of you probably do, but fun facts about Christopher Lee, well, there's tons of them. But one is he actually knew Tolkien in his younger days, you know, when Tolkien was older, obviously. And he really wanted to play Gandalf, but he ended up getting the role of Saruman, was amazing at it. Christopher Lee, the person, is oftentimes considered the inspiration for James Bond. In his younger days, he was a spy, as it were, a soldier. I think, not a soldier, but, you know, like a high-level soldier, like what we would consider like a Navy SEAL or something, you know, or Green Beret these days, right? And so during the filming of Lord of the Rings, during the scene where Wormtongue stabs Saruman in the back, spoilers, I know for that movie that's like 2 decades old, when Wormtongue stabs him in the back. By the way, that's different from the books, if you didn't know. In the books, he doesn't stab him in the back and cause him to fall off the tower. They survive that scene, and they end up invading the Shire, and there's a whole nother section at the end of the books where the hobbits have to defend the Shire from an attack from Saruman, Wormtongue, and his orcs. And during that scene, that's when Wormtongue actually kills him, but I think he kills him by like slitting his throat instead of stabbing him in the back. And then the hobbits kill Wormtongue. Anyways, well, during the movie, he gets stabbed in the back on the top of the tower and falls off. And so Peter Jackson is trying to direct, Christopher Lee in how to act during that. And he's all like, have you ever stabbed somebody in the back? I have. It's like, whoa, okay. He's all like, all right, you got it. You act it however you want to act it. So anyway, Christopher Lee was amazing. Look him up. His life story is super interesting. All right, let's see. Who else do we have? Brent McIntyre was the Witch King. Ian McKellen, obviously, is Gandalf. I think I said that. Peter McKenzie is Elendil. Sarah McLeod is Rosie Cotton. Dominic Monaghan is Mary. I think I said that. He was part of the Fellowship. Let's see. Who else? Henry Sinclair is Isildur. Liv Tyler is Arwen. How could I forget? And Hugo Weaving is Elrond. See, anybody else? All right. right, so that's the is it gonna let me click on the other movies from here? Let's see, because there's some other main characters later on in the movies that I want to touch on here. Let's do the Lord. We'll move on to The Return of the King. So some of the characters in this movie that we hadn't touched on. Okay. No. Theoden, Bernard Hill, rest in peace. I think he passed away like right around the time that I watched the movies in the theater. A couple weeks back. It was a couple weeks back. Bernard Hill passed away. He played Theoden. Let's see, who else do we want to touch on? I want to touch on his niece, Eowyn. Miranda Otto played Eowyn. We got Deagle. Thomas Robbins played Deagle, which is Smeagol's brother, cousin. I think they were technically cousins, which is Smeagol is Gollum, if you didn't know. Let's see. Oh, Éomer is played by Karl Urban, if you didn't know that. Let's see. All right, and then Wormtongue is played by Brad Dourif. I didn't touch on that in the last one. Because he shows up in this one, or maybe he technically doesn't show up till the third one, but this is an extended edition version. But Brad Dourif plays Wormtongue, and if you don't know who Brad Dourif is, he's in tons of horror movies. Let's see, he's best known for being Chucky in the Child's Play movies. He's the voice, obviously, and I think you actually see him in the very first one in the scene where it talks about how he passed away or died before becoming Chucky. I think it's actually him. He's in some other, like some Stephen King movie. Let's see, he was in Mississippi Burning. He was in the Dune, the 1984 series or movie. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He's been doing this for a long time. He was in Deadwood the movie, probably Deadwood the series. Let's see, Obsession. And I guess apparently he said he has officially retired now, but that if they ever do Chucky movies, he'd happily do the voice of Chucky. And I think they only really did the one Chucky movie where it was like a different actor doing the voice, and it was kind of like the more AI Chucky instead of the it was bad. But yeah, anytime they do classic Chucky with his voice, he'll come back and do it, he says. Let's see, let's go back to his early days in acting. He was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Trying to find the Stephen King movie I remember him from. Well, maybe I won't. Oh, Graveyard Shift. There we go. He was the exterminator in Graveyard Shift. That was a crazy role. But yeah, he's been in so much stuff. He was in the X-Files. Alright, anyways, going on a tangent talking about Brad Dourif. Let's go to the third movie real quick. Touch on anybody who I haven't touched on so far. Two Towers. Alright, let's look at the cast. Let's see if there's anybody else. Faramir, David Wenham, and then I'm trying to think who else I haven't touched on yet. Well, if I'm missing anybody, leave it in the comments. That's fun. If there's anybody who I really should have touched on, go ahead and leave them in the comments. But overall, had a great time with it. If you're a huge fan of any sort of movie, or if there's anything that like brings you a lot of nostalgia, look for it. Getting re-released in the theaters is like these fun events, because it is a lot of fun to get into the theater and be able to see these movies from when you were younger, and having these memories come back, and having some popcorn and some soda and having a great time. I enjoy it, and I recommend it to anybody. Go ahead and check that out. And if somehow you have never seen the Lord of the Rings movies, you should watch them. It is definitely a time commitment, especially if you go and you want to see the extended versions. Spread it out over 3 days or whatever, if you don't want to just sit there all day and just watch them, because it is seriously all day. Yeah, I would recommend doing that. You definitely should. Some of my favorite movies ever made, and I'll do it again one of these days. I'm not the type of guy where I can do it every year, but I'm definitely going to be watching all 3 of those movies again at some point. All right, everybody, take care. Have a good day.